Okay, this is the next question. A leading enterprise with several departments has deployed dedicated VPCs for each internal team. Okay, a company has multiple departments and each department has their own VPC. Whenever there is a need for communication between teams, VPC peering connections are established. So the department VPCs will communicate with each other through VPC peering. The cloud team has now been tasked with provisioning a centralized database server that should be reachable by multiple internal VPCs. Okay, the department VPCs will be accessing a centralized database server. It can be a database running in an EC2 instance in a different VPC called central VPC. And the DNS host name of this database server should be database.internal.local. So this is the domain name, and this should be resolvable only within the company's internal network. That means if someone from internet is trying to resolve this domain, it should not be resolved. But if an EC2 instance from one of the department VPCs is trying to resolve this, then that resolution should work. Okay, so this the given scenario. For simplicity, I have just kept VPCs for only two departments. So this is VPC for department 1 and VPC for department 2. And there is a central VPC, and this is the database server with the hostname database internal local. And if the EC2s in the department VPCs is trying to resolve this database internal local, they should be able to resolve this hostname, get the private IP of the database server, and then they should be able to communicate through VPC peering. So all these VPCs are connected through VPC peering, and it should not be resolvable through public internet. So the conditions are each department has a VPC connected by VPC peering. There is a centralized DB server which has a host name. The DNS resolution should work within uh, the VPCs, not through public internet. So let's go through all the four options. The first option says set up a public hosted zone. This is not correct because the host name database internal local need not be resolved publicly. So you have to set up a private hosted zone rather than a public hosted zone. So this is not right. And yeah, you can associate the required VPCs if you are setting up a private hosted zone but not the public hosted zone. There should be an A record pointing to the database instances private IP. This is correct. In each VPC, ensure that both enable DNS host names and enable DNS support. These are the network attributes in the VPCs, and both should be set to true. Then only the DNS resolution will work in the VPCs. So this is right. Since the first part of option 1 is incorrect, so this answer is not correct. So we'll go to the third one. Create public hosted zone. Again incorrect. Instead of A record, you should have a CNAME record for the private IP of database server. This is not right. You have to have A record. Set both enable DNS hostnames and enable DNS support to false in the VPC. This is not right. They should be set to true. So this is also not right. We'll go to the option 2. Configure a private hosted zone. This is correct. With this hostname associate with the required VPCs. This is correct. Create an A record pointing to the elastic IP. This elastic IP A record is correct, but not the elastic IP address. Elastic IP address is the public address. Uh, it's a public IP address. Since you don't want this hostname uh, to be resolved through internet, you don't need a public IP. So this is not right. In the setup, set enable DNS host names to true but leave enable DNS support is false. This is not correct because both should be set to true. So this option is also not correct. We'll go to the fourth option. Create a private hosted zone. This is correct. Using this domain name, associate all the record VPCs. This is correct. Then add an A record. This is correct. Pointing to the database instances private IP address. This is also correct. Ensure that both enable DNS hostnames and enable DNS support are set to true for all associated VPCs. So everything is correct in this option. So the correct answer is option number 4. Thank you.